What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports. We're really excited to be supporting the Free Agent Friday series. A lot of great talent out there. Without further ado, this is the next free agent you should be signing with your sports team.
All right, we're back for another Free Agent Friday, and today I've got Kai Murray with me. How's it going, Kai?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for joining me. Let's jump right in. Talk about where you went to school and any of the degrees that you received.
Yeah, I went to DePaul University in Chicago, Illinois, and was a student athlete there. Participated in track and field and cross country for 4 seasons, and really got an opportunity to learn about the business side of sports, starting in that athletic department. So it kind of set me on the path to, moving forward in my business career. And one of the things that COVID has presented is a new opportunity for education. So it's funny you mentioned that. I had my application submitted yesterday for my master's program. I narrowed it down to a couple, and
Nice.
plan on starting in January to begin my master's degree.
That's great. A lot of people, this is like such a perfect time to hone in on the skills and knowledge and everything. So I think that's great. What'd you do in track and field? What was your
I
event?
ran 800 meters, which is middle distance, and 1500, which is basic metric mile, and occasionally the 400. So a little bit of long distance, a little bit of sprinting in there, and had an opportunity to be a part of a couple of great teams between track and cross country, and travel across the country, compete against some of the best athletes in the world. I think I got smoked by about 4 Olympians during my time there. So I'm proud that I put forth a good effort, but those gold medals around their neck prove they made the right career decision. I think.
Yeah, the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
When you were in school, did you do any internships at all?
While I was in school, I interned in our current athletic department at DePaul University, but I also worked as an intern with Johnson & Johnson. So I would come home in the summers to Cincinnati, where I was living at the time, and I worked for a subsidiary called Ethicon Endosurgery, and they sold medical equipment and supplies. So I did internships, with the athletic department as well as with Ethicon, and ultimately I decided, I really wanted to embark on a career in sports, and wasn't the most popular decision in my household. My parents worked for some Fortune 500s, and they knew what Johnson & Johnson was, and they didn't exactly know what a career in sports looked like. So I had to put my nose to the grindstone, battle really hard. And, after a few years, they understood, what it takes to build a career within the industry. They had no more complaints.
Yeah. So talk about that. Like give me, walk us through your first taste of, working in sports all the way up to where you're at now.
Yeah. I mean, from the time I was 17, 18 years old, I said I wanted to be the president of a professional sports team. And every job I've taken has been a building block to that. And I was very fortunate, I think, early on to work in minor league baseball, because it gave me an opportunity to wear a lot of hats. Yes, I was selling group tickets, but I did so many other things to support the club, and learn in many ways that if I had taken a job probably in one of the larger leagues and had a narrower focus early on, I wouldn't have gotten an appreciation for some of the hard work that required really longevity in this industry. Spent a couple of seasons there selling group tickets. Moved to the NFL, selling full menu in Jacksonville, season tickets, group tickets, and starting to get into premium for the first time. So spent 3 seasons there in the kind of the post Mark Brunell era, but a little Maurice Jones-Drew, and we had some success with the team. And we went from roughly, I believe, 38,000 season tickets to about 54,000 by the time that my time was up there in 3 years, and was looking for a new challenge. And I went back to the point where I said, if I want to be a team president, I'm going to have to continue to diversify how I learn. And had an opportunity to go to MLS, which was a young and growing league, only 10 teams at the time when I entered, and take over ticket operations for Real Salt Lake as they were building a new stadium. So I arrived about 6 months beforehand, and got an opportunity to see how a team was going through that transition, moving from being a second tenant into a building that was of their own. So got a look at helping set best practices, and do a lot of things on the ticket operation side, learning the back end of the system, and then teaching it to our reps as part of my first responsibilities there. And at the time, that was the perfect fit for me. And, we had a conversation, myself and the team president, late in 2008, kind of after the economic situation had really started to fall apart, about my skill set, and they were struggling to sell suites, and they were having some companies that were defaulting on their suites. And that's really how I got into premium. We had a conversation. He said, I believe that you can be the one that helps turn this around for us. And I was able to save a handful of the suites, but I had a long road to go in order to make sure that we got the building sold out on the long-term agreements. And over the next 20 months, basically, I sold a suite per month.
Nice.
And we got to a point where we had sold all of our sellable lease suites prior to the 2011 season. And it was one of the things that I think was a really important step for me to kind of hone in my skills, figure out what worked for me from a sales perspective, but also start to see, what I wanted to do next in my career. And after several good seasons in Salt Lake City, an opportunity came about to move to the Arizona Cardinals and oversee their club sales department. It was a new department they were building, and it was my first opportunity to lead in a managerial role. So I worked as a little bit of a player coach where I had some new business responsibility, but it was my first managerial job. And as you know, and everybody else knows, you learn a lot in that first year.
Always an adjustment, isn't it?
Yeah. But first, it's all on you as an active seller, and now your job is tasked to kind of go and mold and develop a team of representatives to kind of go in the same direction. And they have different personalities, and they have different life goals, and they have different career goals. So making that work and figuring out, what I needed to do in order to have a successful stint was really important. But the things about Arizona that were really attractive were an opportunity to help work around special events. The stadium there, I believe it's State Farm Field now, in Arizona, was hosting the Super Bowl, was going to be hosting the Pro Bowl, was going to be hosting, Final Fours and things along those lines. And it allowed me to help kind of develop my skill set and working directly with the league and understanding league policies. And we helped put together some programs that help leverage our club seats. I think when I got there, we had roughly 3,000 seats sold on multi-year agreements. And by the time I left, we had right around 6,000. So we had doubled it. And the programs that we put in place helped sell these seats on multi-year agreements and really helped solidify the team for a long period of time. I had 3 wonderful seasons there, and really an opportunity that was important to me and in kind of establishing my career was going to Washington. I wasn't looking to go back to baseball. The running joke would have been I'd never go back to baseball after working in
so many games,
and 81 games, and I had the 10-game NFL schedule, and I was working with a recruiter, and I asked who else is really doing some progressive things in the industry right now. And the first words out of his mouth were the Washington Nationals. And he said, right now there's a job description that's written that I think would be perfect for you. And we had some discussions. I called around and, ended up, talking with HR there and getting an opportunity to interview. And on the way back from my interview, I called a recruiter. I was scheduled to go to another city the next day and interview, and said, cancel that interview. I want to come to Washington. And the number one reason I wanted to was the people. I felt that I was going to be working with 6 or 7 team presidents on a daily basis. And they were at the director level and the VP level and the SVP level. They just hadn't achieved it yet. And I was right about that decision. The group there has already gone on, some of them to achieve VP opportunities, whether it's within the organization or externally. And we do have, some other folks that have achieved even higher levels of that. And it was pretty cool to work in that environment, learn from those guys and ladies on a daily basis about how the business is run in their segment. And I took a lot of that, during my time in Washington to help kind of round out some of the things that I hadn't had direct experience managing. So if it was a different department in sales that I hadn't spent as much time, as part of my focus, I could go to them and learn from them about what they were, struggling with or what they were having success with. So an opportunity that might come down the line for me at an elevated role, I could have some impact on, what that organization would need. Had 4 wonderful years there working, with the team, working, with the league and on the All-Star game, some postseason runs. We had a lot of success there. And, I took an opportunity to kind of say, what's next? And for me, what I really wanted, if I was going to be a team president, I needed to start thinking and working with team presidents. And the move to Van Wagner was a consultative role. And we were on a contract with Audi Field, so I could work directly with them and understanding what some of the business challenges were. And, they had some challenges there that, we as an organization, Van Wagner, were looking to help solidify and help them sell more multi-year club seats, more multi-year suite leases. And we came in as consultants and helped train their staff in order to prepare them for long-term success. So after our contract was completed there, I was looking to stay with the company. Unfortunately, some family constraints prevented me from going to a smaller market. My wife works in international travel, and we needed to be in a big city with a big airport hub. And the opportunities currently with Van Wagner were at smaller locations. So I said, okay, if I'm not going to stay here with this company, what else do I need on my resume to help enhance what I'm doing for my career? And the opportunity in Memphis was a cool stop in which I was going to be able to oversee a much larger staff. I'd been managing 4 to 6 people in premium, and now this was an opportunity to oversee all of ticket sales, service, inside sales, group sales, retention. And then eventually, after a few months, I already had accumulated ticket operations and analytics underneath my role. So I was managing a much larger staff, 50, 60 people. And we had a very successful launch to the USL soccer season, largest crowd ever, second largest gate ever. And we all know what happened in the second week of March, which kind of stunted our
slowed things down a little bit, right? Well, when you were with Memphis, were you doing any sales as well, or was that strictly all leadership and managing the team?
Yeah, that was a leadership role where I was managing managers. It was my job to develop a core group of young managers. That the long-term plan was for this group to stay together for several years and develop into leaders themselves. I had a very, very good track record of developing leaders, and my time in Washington. I think there were 2 gentlemen and 1 lady underneath me that had received opportunities externally from the organization. One is a VP at Live Nation locally there in Washington. Another one's a director at Topgolf. And then another young lady is a director at the National Retail Federation. National Restaurant Federation. And all of these were people that, I worked with in order to develop and prepare them for their next steps. And that was my goal here in Memphis, was to prepare this group. We had a very young, talented group of individuals that I think needed a little bit of guidance and direction and organization, and we were providing that for them all the way up until our last days in the office.
So what's the ideal role that you're looking for now?
Yeah, for me, another leadership role in which I'm going to be training and preparing a team of individuals for long-term success. I feel that, for me, if I'm taking steps building towards that president role or that general manager role of an organization, I need more time and more experience leading leaders. And one of the things that, again, goes back to the continuing education, that's why I'm going to go get my master's degree, for more leadership training, more hands-on opportunities to really do case studies and analysis and apply what I learned in the classroom into the real world.
Nice. How about what would you say is your biggest asset that you'll bring to a new organization?
Well, I think a couple of things. I mean, I think enthusiasm, energy, those are pieces that are part of my foundation, and I think that's one building block. I absolutely know how to change the culture and do it in an organized, concerted manner, and make sure that people within the organization buy in, not just within ticket sales, but within an organization in totality. I think that's one piece. Second piece is I'm very good at helping the business move forward. Oftentimes within organizations, we get caught up in red tape, and somebody else says, well, you're supposed to do it this way, or it's your problem, or back and forth, but either way it stalls out. So one of the things that, I got really focused in on during my time in DC and, with Van Wagner was, how can we make better practices to ensure that people are held accountable for the things that they need to be doing in order to move the business forward within our departments. And that's another piece that I think I'm really strong at. And the third piece I think is, long-term strategic planning. I have, a 12 to 14 month calendar that I continuously update to make sure that we're looking incrementally ahead. You can't just fight fires. You can't just keep going from game to game, week to week, in order to survive if you want to have long-term success. So you need short-term planning as well as long-term planning, and having an understanding of what that vision is long-term and what you need to do incrementally in between the time that long-term vision starts to take place and the time you are now is really important.
On the flip side to that, what's the area you need to work on the most?
Well, I think the number one thing is longer periods of time managing a larger staff. I mean, that was my challenge. And the analytics piece, we are a world that is moving more into data analysis on the business side, and that's why I'm continuing to go back to school, and that's why I was so adamant about having that learning experience underneath my wing in Memphis, so I could learn directly with the teammates that I was going to be, managing, and with the data partners, getting really hands-on in that aspect. So that's probably the biggest piece for me that I wanted as an area of focus. And also, from a leadership standpoint, I may think I might have been doing this for a long time, but I've sat across from tables, when I'm actively selling and in business meetings that, are very challenging sometimes, but the person on the other side of the table has been doing business longer than I've been alive. And, that's one of the things that, you can never have enough leadership training. You can never have enough, opportunities to improve your skill set and learn to be a better manager. I think we oftentimes, as salespeople who might be very successful, don't necessarily make that transition to management easily. For some, it comes, pretty easy. And others, it's a real challenge. And I think what it comes down to is you need, as a manager, to be able to motivate others to do the things in order to get the goals, but you have to make sure that the individuals on your team want to do it for themselves. They're not just going to want to do it for you or the organization
Right.
out of goodwill, but they also have to want to do it in order to make sure that it's helping them advance in their career. And that's another key focus. When I sit down with my teammates, is I always want to understand what their long-term goals are, what they're reaching for. And my job is to help them get there.
No, that's great. How was your transition when you went from, a seller to, a management role? I mean, did it take you a while to kind of get it, or did it just click right away? I know for me, it took me a little while because, I was so used to doing everything, myself. And so once I had my aha moment, it's like everything just went so much better,
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think, it takes a little bit of time of feeling that out. And one of the things that you realize is being a manager isn't telling people what to do. It's managing other personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had to, learn from my own experiences. And, I had people that were introverts and extroverts, and people that had a lot of experience, people that had very little experience. making them work together cohesively. And it took a little bit of figuring out. I think one of the things that is really, really important for young managers and leaders is to know your staff inside and out, not just what they're capable of doing in the office, but to identify with them personally. You know, when I come into an organization, the first thing that I do as I'm getting organized is I meet with every single person within the company, every single person I can, all of my staff. You know, I meet with people outside of the department that I'm going to be working with, or my staff will be working with, whether that's in marketing, operations, team side, you know, legal, all of the areas that would touch premium or ticket sales, and make sure that I understand, you know, what their goals are and how I can help them do their job better. You know, that's the question. That's how can I as a manager help you do your job better? And I think providing my teammates with all the resources that I can in order to make sure that they're successful is paramount, but also listening and being a voice and helping them work through their challenges is really, really important.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something really good. I mean, you oftentimes, unfortunately, you know, people get too bogged down on only caring about themselves or their specific, you know, area in the business. And really, you know, having that strong leadership, it takes getting all those different departments, everyone to be successful, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
reach that common goal way up here. So it's good to hear, because I've seen a lot of, you know, organizations over the years, and you can tell the ones that have great leadership and the ones that are lacking it at the top. So I like the fact that you've been with some great organizations throughout your career. So you've had a chance to be around a lot of great leaders and a lot of great producers with those organizations. So, you know, it probably is something that you've picked up along the way, like, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there from those great people, right?
I didn't learn it all in one place, and I didn't learn it all overnight.
Yeah.
I learned, you know, the way to do things, and I also learned the way not to do things.
Yep.
I think that's as important a piece. If you know, are not successful, or you see that your organization wasn't as successful executing a campaign, you're going to have opportunities in the future that are going to be very, very similar. And take the best pieces of what was successful and also learn from the mistakes that might have been made in order to make sure that your new organization, or the organization, if you're promoted from within, doesn't make those same mistakes in the future.
Few last things. How would you define success?
That's a great question. I mean, I think success is defined in a couple of ways for me. One, you know, making sure you achieve organizational goals and doing it in a timely manner, and hopefully doing it within budget. At least that's for the accounting people out there. And the second piece is, you know, I touched on it a little bit earlier. For me, making sure that the people that are my, you know, direct reports are developing in their career. I look at and say, you know, if you worked as part of my team, you know, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, have you achieved those goals that you wanted to do? And I think it's a really, really important piece for me that I'm finding out as a manager. I find such reward in seeing other people get promoted, you know, making the recommendation, you know, getting on the phone and calling, you know, a colleague with another team saying, I'd hate to lose this person, but they're ready to take the next step. And I think that probably even more so over the last few seasons is starting to define, you know, what success is for me. I mean, I had two of my team members that worked for me in Washington, you know, have the honor of being nominated and winning an award for 40 under 40 in Greater Washington in the Business Journal. So I found that really, really impactful to me, that we would sit in the same room and we would learn from each other, and I've helped prepare them to achieve some individual success of their own.
I mean, it's like you're on the same wavelengths with me on a lot of this stuff, which is it's just really great to hear. You know, especially like you had mentioned, you know, you want to see the success of the people that you work with, and you're not selfish in holding them back or hoarding them all to yourself. I mean, you want to, hopefully there's opportunities within for them, but the reality a lot of times is you're going to lose them
Yeah.
But I look at it like, it's my kids almost. I want to, help build my kids up while they're here and in school, and I want to see them go on and flourish, and go into bigger things. So, obviously you want to keep those key people as much as you can, but the reality is a lot of times that, and you just see too many times where people are held back because teams don't want to lose them.
Yeah, I think it's a shame, in some of those situations, but making sure that you're a leader that's a little bit different and can define it differently for the individuals is really important. And I think when you first sit down, in an organization with new team members, letting them know that, because it's a fear for a lot of individuals thinking, what, I'm never going to get promoted here. I'm never going to get, and part of my job is once you're there as a manager, to understand what the lay of the land is internally, politically, and also understand where their level of talent and development is. They may not have a manager that previously was honest with them. They could have told them thumbs up, good all of the time, and they think, oh, I'm doing great. When in actuality, there were areas that they could have improved, and areas that if they do improve, will separate them from their peers for internal promotions or provide opportunities externally that'll be available to them for promotion.
And sometimes, people don't want to move into management roles. They're happy being a seller, or they're happy where they're, so you have to be able to identify all those things, which I think is in line with what you're talking about. How about location wise? I know you're in Memphis now. Are you open, relocation?
Yeah, for us, we're open to relocating a lot of places. I don't want to get into the specifics, but
Sure.
they've, my wife works in international travel, so it needs to be a major airport accessible that is within a reasonable driving distance. I'll let her define exactly what that is, but probably about half an hour.
10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want to get in too much trouble, but I think.
But you're open to explore opportunities. Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think we came here to Memphis for this opportunity. Like, that's the reason we came to Memphis. And without my current job, it allows us some flexibility to where we go next. But we want to live in major metropolitan area in which I can find an opportunity to work and continue my career in professional sports, but also still provide opportunities for my family in order for them to continue in their careers.
All right, this is what I usually end with. This is give me a fun personal fact about yourself.
Fun personal fact. I played piano for 7-8 years growing up. Okay. So I think the fun personal fact is I can pretty much bang out any Christmas carol during the holidays. So if it's a holiday party or random pianos hanging around, I can put down Jingle Bells pretty mean, and
nice.
A lot of Christmas carols. But it didn't help me in college. I mean, the guys that had the guitars, they were able to get all the ladies and bring that to the party. You can't really shove a piano around, so
can't just walk around with like a keyboard or something.
I didn't, but yeah, I still can play a little bit, and I think if I am able to get stable and have a little bit more space, it's something I'll pick up again. And for me, this summer's been picking up golf again and spending time and actually playing with my wife, and nice. She's enjoying it, and that's kind of been the thing that I've picked up during some of this time here, and if I get settled and into a new spot and have an opportunity, I'll probably take a look at a keyboard and maybe practice a little bit more.
You any good at golf?
I'm getting better. I would say I'm not going to reveal exactly what my handicap is, because it's going to cost me. I may not be able to reel in a couple of folks on the course, but I can hold my own.
As long as you have fun.
Yeah.
As long as you have fun, that's the key. I suck, but I got great clubs. I got great golf outfits. That's where it ends. My wife and I love to go, and that's,
there you go.
We're both the same. So
enjoy the weather, enjoy the fashion, and have a good time out there.
Man, I thank you for joining me. I think, man, you've got such a great mind, on the leadership side. And, there's no doubt that you're going to, land on your feet here pretty quickly. So I just want to thank you again for joining me, and anything that I can do to help, you just reach out.
Well, I appreciate you providing this opportunity for me and all the other people that are looking for their next steps. This is something that has affected our industry, and this has been probably the most impactful thing that we've seen in our industry since we've been working professionally. So I would tell a lot of people out there, just kind of make sure you keep your eyes and ears open. A lot of people will tell you to be patient, but my recommendation is to be determined. Continue to go and learn, continue to read, continue to follow podcasts such as this, or follow or vlogs like this, and make sure that you're understanding what's happening within our world and within the sports world, because executives and companies are looking for people who are staying up to current events, have new ideas, and they're going to be able to sell and successfully manage in a new world.
And just to add to that real quick for people, is now's a great time to reach out to people. Get on LinkedIn, send a message. There's some people that might not respond, but a lot of us in leadership have started at somewhere at some point. So, we like to give back. I know that I try to get on the phone or Zoom with people as often as I can, even for 5-10 minutes. Reach out to people who are in positions that you want to be in, and just build those relationships and try to gain as much knowledge as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate again the opportunity, and wish everyone the best of luck out there.